Hey guys, it's Matt. This is an appropriate way to start out a video called What Are Pets? Zara's been hanging out on the back of this chair a lot as I work recently. Just goes on the plastic arm, and just kind of hangs back there. She knows I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Prove me wrong. Whatever. She does. She's sometimes I'll work for a long time and I'll look and she's there. I didn't even know, but she's rarely ever on that chair because that's where Puss in Boots typically hang out. Sorry, guys. I want to talk about what are pets, and there's two big philosophies, quote, in our community about what are pets. I'm just going to turn this off. Um, it's creepy, kind of staring at yourself in a box as you do this. I'm going to move myself off to the side. It's hard enough just to focus on a little light. Sorry. One philosophy is that we're there to help them. These are baby spirits that aren't nearly as advanced as we are, and they need our help. And it's the first taste of love and kindness and compassion. And, the equivalent of they have millions and millions of more work to do from the perspective of linear time, which is all we understand here. And the opposite is my philosophy. Just in, I ask you to examine what your inner knowing or inner tuning fork will tell you about this. Your Jerry Maguire, what does your heart tell you? That, in my opinion, there's no doubt that these things are here to help us. Now, why do I say that? Have I ever traveled astrally and had a conversation with one? Or no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I observe and I let my inner knowing guide me. And I also observe how this world works and how backwards everything is. And usually, when I've applied that concept of how backwards and how inverted everything here is in this place, it's upside down land. I don't think anything I've ever looked at where it's kind of come to me that, oh, if I apply upside down philosophies as to what's going on here, it always seems like that kind of provides the answer, sometimes in and of itself. For example, and you've heard me say things like um, Jeff Bezos is in this big fish in this small bucket. It seems while we're here extremely powerful, extremely influential, money. So that tells me that where it matters, everything is backwards. It's inverted land. Where it matters, his spiritual progression, anything and everything that matters outside of this little snow globe. He has no power. He has so much more work to do than anybody listening to this. And people can come forward and say, well, come on, you're just delusional. You're just saying these things to make yourself feel better. You have no power here. You're just a little worm, and then you covet, and you look at people like Jeff Bezos, and you want it, and you jealous of it, Matt. You jealous of it. Say whatever you want. I assure you that is not the case. I wouldn't switch places with him if somebody came just for with in a second. You could just switch places. Absolutely, want nothing to do with it. No covet, no jealousy. In fact, it's the opposite. I've learned to not hate them like we're meant to hate them. We're told to hate them through all these BitChute videos and YouTube videos that we grew up with since 2008 or so. But it's better, I don't do that anymore. It's like almost I don't want to say pity, but you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of pathetic. I have no interest the little lifestyle that they run around in, thinking it's so important. So that yeah, anybody in the old guard here, I'm not saying that to make myself feel better. You can just sense, in your inner knowing that everything here is backwards, upside down land. So they're just all, quote, seemingly to the masses all powerful here, which means you just step out of here, and looking down from a different perspective in terms of anything that matters, they're way, way below you. I'm not saying that to make myself feel better, but I think it's the same with pets. In terms of the of By the way, I do want to say a couple things, guys. At some point, I want to sneak in to the middle of this. There was that news event about Travis Scott, and I, I looked at it for 5 minutes. I watched 10 minutes of the circus's video. I don't need to look into it anymore. I want to mention a few things about it, but I want to work it into this video to confuse the bot. And this, I'm not. This video is about pets. It's not about that, but I wanted to mention a few things, and of whether whatever aspect of it, is real. Um, it's such a system presentation. It's just ridiculous. It's so obvious. In other words, everything was orchestrated, put in place. I mean, even if there was real tragedy, every bit of it was a system organized process. It just reeks of it. In other words, if anybody thinks that um, this connection lost, no, that's that connection lost to my oh, now connected again to my keyboard. Okay, but I can use the mouse to stop this. Sorry. If anybody thinks that it's just what the news presents on the face of it, it's just a concert, and Travis is reckless in how he deals with fans, and the security didn't manage it, and the big slimy hand of the thing that pulls the strings here in this place called Earth was not involved in every bit of it setting this up, then people are out to lunch. It just reeks of a system presentation, no matter what part of it may have really happened or not. Um, Planned a long time ago. Nothing natural about it. So that's my 2 cents on it. But back to pets. Um, you can apply the backwards upside down reality principle that, well, what does it seem? What is reality presenting to us? Because it's almost always the opposite. It seems like, oh, these things are so helpless. These little things need us, and we care for them. We take them into our homes. We want to believe they have a soul, a spirit, or they can eventually become what we are. It's the same absurd notion as human beings on the top of the food chain. Well, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Somebody, will look at a worm and see how, like the normal person will look at a worm and how superior their life is, and they're at the top of the food chain, and all these lower creatures are all around. And we don't know that. Applying upside down principles, you don't know what the life of a worm is like. It could be the most blissful, incredible thing. But I don't want to go. I don't want to go down too far into the weeds. What's an insect? But for human beings to come forward and say we're obviously the top of the food chain, I think other animals or things here or trees or who knows would potentially look at the human being and just see us inching along the freeway in our cars to get to work, beeping and road rage, fuck road rage beeping, and then they're, pick up the kid, run around and take the kids to cello practice, and then have a fight with this parent, and stress on the job is going to lay people off, and you stress about that for 6 months. These other creatures, I think, would look at human beings and say, these absolute morons think they're the top of the food chain. You've got to be kidding me. And people will say, well, Matt, the animal kingdom, it's all about looking over your shoulder. At any moment, death could come, even with the hawk or even with the eagle. And that incredible, majestic life of soaring. And it's all about death. There's always a bigger predator. And at least human beings have evolved. And at least, there's a lot of death and carnage in human society. But at least we don't always have to look over our shoulder, blah, blah. We, that philosophy, what does that philosophy come from? What does that mean? I mean, you don't know what an animal from spiritually an animal's death, or the wolf that actually kills, the rarely that kills or gets the eagle, which probably doesn't happen that often. The death to that animal could be a beautiful thing. Oh, the suffering of the claws going in. I mean, maybe what it does look awful when the antelope is killed by the lion and it's suffering. We don't know what that experience is like. Whatever you would consider the soul that animates the body of an animal could immediately leave and not go through that experience. We don't know. All I know is your inner knowing will confirm this. I don't have to tell you. Human beings saying they're the top of the food chain is absolutely ridiculous. I think almost everything here would look at us and say, who would want to live like that? Are you kidding me? You know? So you can apply the same to pets. The overwhelming notion to me is I needed help, and I can and a lot of people have the similar experience. And these pets came to me at the exact right time when I needed them. The other thing was, so no, my first cat, Belle. Oh, Belle is so millions of years under me in terms of spiritual evolution. I want to believe some people that just think it's just some sort of a soul animated by the Earth or the planet video game itself, and there is no eternal nature to my cat Belle, some would say, or to your dog, for example, and I don't believe that for a second. Like they're just part of the back video game here, like someone would say an NPC is, or they're just part of this background of this whatever wherever this realm is where we are having this experience, like a tree or. And I even think as we go farther along here, I even think those things are more real than I ever once did, and it always goes in that direction. I never go in the direction where I say, well, I'm backing off. I used to think all these things were part of a greater spiritual essence, but now I don't think that. There's some people that even believe rocks are, so I'm not quite there yet. But pets, no way. I'm here to help Bill. No way. I mean, what does every bit of inner knowing inside you tell you that who knows what this thing is? Is it an aspect of yourself that's not here? But it's here. It has to be very limited in its cognitive ability, and it can't talk to you. But it's here to me as a superior, an aspect of something far superior that's put here to help us. It is not inferior, it's superior or part of something that's very superior. Maybe that's what we ourselves sent it here. Who knows? Or it could be a part of us. But let me just give you some strange synchronicities about me and the cats. I was highly allergic to cats. And I mean, I remember being at my cousin's house and some friends' houses, and my bronchioles would constrict. And this is several different types of cats over many different years. I would wheeze, wheeze and sneeze, and it was awful being around cats. And then Pam got Cooper and Gouda, and I guess that would have been, let's see, it's 20, right about 2010, maybe? Like right kind of in the middle of my wake up process, Pam gets Cooper and Gouda, no issue. Well, Matt, people can grow out of allergies. I know. I'm not saying it's some absolute miracle, but I'm saying it could be more than just a coincidence. No issues. I'm highly allergic to cats. No issues with Cooper and Gouda, which led me to get Belle. And I'm still a little allergic if the cat licks me on like puts the saliva directly on my skin will bubble up. But maybe everybody's does, I don't know. And went to get Bell, and I heard that it's not the fur that makes someone allergic. It's actually it is the fur, but it's the saliva because they lick themselves all over the fur. They lick, 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 and that it's the saliva people are allergic to. So for Belle, I went to get her in when did I get Belle? 2014. I've been watching Cooper and Gouda quite a bit. 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there. Pam was always traveling for her job, so I had those cats some months almost as much as she did. So I knew I wasn't allergic. And Belle, I knew it was the saliva, so I put she was in the cage. I was going to get her from Spay and Save in Norristown, and I, touched her around her mouth, and then I touched my face, and I was just hoping that I wouldn't be allergic. Well, if I would have touched, got her too much saliva and put on my skin and it bubbled, it would have scared me. Nothing happened. It's almost like it was meant to be. I needed that cat at that time. And then of course I've had four since, different types. Bootsy is a true long hair. I mean a true long hair, and I'm not allergic at all. So the allergy just went away. What are you saying, Matt? It was a miracle. a miracle that was you needed these animals for your spiritual progression. So, a miracle was put to, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, basically, yeah. Every other allergy, poison ivy, I brush by it, I'm in oozing, my hand oozes for days. Or I've seen people just handle poison ivy. A relative has seen this guy knew he wasn't allergic to poison ivy, put it in his mouth and pulled the leaves. I mean, poison ivy is harmful only in that it elicits an allergic reaction from your body. There are, I don't know, like one out of whatever people are not allergic to it, and just can just handle it. The oils in the skin have no issue. It's not harmful in and of itself. It's harmful in that it creates an allergic reaction. That's how allergies work. The cat saliva isn't harmful in and of itself. It kind of fools the body to create a really nasty reaction. So, I've looked at, I've studied, these cats a lot recently, and I've come to the conclusion at the very minimum that, and this again, guys, obviously apply this to your dog or any other pet, even a parrot or a parakeet that can live to be 50 or 60 or 70. There's certain animals, there's something in there. You could say it's just a background element of this video game reality. No, no. They all bring something different to the table, but I don't feel like I'm helping it as much as it's there to help me. Um, Puss in Boots we got from the nursing home. I call her Puss Puss. Puss Puss in the morning wants hugs, and I mean, you hug this thing, and I can kind of see it off in the mirror. It looks up at you and it's just loving that just wants the hugs. Well, Matt, aren't you helping it? Well, yeah, I think we're helping it, but it's much more helping me. I'll give you an example. Um, I don't know how to present this and not feel like some callous monster. I'll just talk about my close relatives or my mother and my father. Saying I love you. Um, it's very, very difficult for me for just say relatives. I've said it a few times in my life. It's like I don't like saying it. It's so forced. When it's to any other person. I've never truly said I love you to a person. I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with me. I'm just being honest here. I've never said I love you to a person where I just was so wanting to say I love you and felt so much love. It's more out of like obligation, like a relative will say I love you and I'll say it back. I love you. It's so cringeworthy to me. I don't know why. I'm just being honest. That's the way I feel. Well, man, you got problems, boy. I don't, maybe I've never said it to, you've ever said it to a girl? Never, 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 never. But with these cats, the point is with these cats, you've seen, I'll probably try to put at the beginning of this video, um, Puss, will say, I love you. And I grab her, I say, I love you. I say, I tell these cats, I love them so. And when I say it, I feel it and I want to say it. And I don't feel embarrassed. I say, I love you to these cats thousands of times more than to any relative. I don't know why that is, but I'm just saying these things are there to help me more than I'm there to help them. I never understood people and their animals. I would almost not make fun, but just I would drive through my dad's neighborhood is a townhouse, just endless townhouses, and Pam's neighborhood, endless townhouses, 4 or 5 units to one building, just cookie cutter like we see all over the place. And people are always out there, 5, 10 people always walking at any time you drive, of course, walking their dog. Usually little dogs, these are smaller places. And I would always say, what is up with all these people and their animals? These people and their animals, like they have to bend over. And I was kind of condescending towards it, and I looked down on it 15 years ago. And what are all these people? They bend down and they pick up the poop, and who has time for that? I didn't understand it at all. And now I totally see these people we would call normies, and these people that are walking these dogs around Pam's community, they're first to line up. Like my father, can you help me dial to get it? Matt, call he was in Florida at the time. Call the state of Florida. If you get in, I can go get it. Get the jabba dabba doo. He wanted me to make phone calls. He was so excited to. These people that walk their dogs around Pam's neighborhood are regular people, like kind of like that. And so as I don't like using these words about these people anymore, and we try to get away from this, but I need to make a point. As a lost normie, they are completely helping these much lower souls, these animals. No, the animal is most likely there to help them and to help me. And I don't know who sent the animal. Did I send the animal? Did my higher self, what you call God? I don't know, but there's no question about it. Sometimes when I'm, again, Puss loves the hugs and the attention and affection in the morning, especially, and she'll just lap it up. And no, I don't think that means it's showing me love, which not well that sort of love that I don't want to say I don't know. Maybe I haven't seen too much of it in my life. We'll put it that way. So it's showing me, but sometimes I get the notion that when I'm giving it a hug in the morning and it's just lapping it up and the purring, purring and rubbing up against my neck, and I get the feeling like almost like this could be my grandmother. I'm just this is just strange stuff. I don't wouldn't push all my chips on this theory, guys, but I'm like this could be a relative or my grandmother where I was the same way. I mean, I spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of weekends with my grandmother, one over the other. One was rarely around, but she was a very loving person as well. I didn't know her as well, but I never said I love you to my grandmother when I was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She might say like I love you back, like without any feeling. That's just the way I am, or I'm improving on that. Repeating a thing don't improve it. No, I'm improving on that. But I was like that, very cold and so my grandmother probably never got a legitimate I love you out of me ever, ever, because it was always kind of a cringe to say it to any person for me. It still is, but I have again no with the cats I can dish it out 1,000 times a day, and I kind of make a fool of myself doing it. If anybody saw me, like that's Matt. It looks ridiculous, but I don't care. It's very I don't know. It's what I need or cathartic if that's I keep using that word incorrectly. But I feel like I'm hugging Puss. Like this could be my grandmother finally like getting I'm telling the cat I love it. She's finally getting the I love yous back from me. Maybe. Point is, I don't know. Whatever we can have different theories here, but the main point of this video is do you believe you're there as some superior on high being and you're the top of the food chain and you're going to help the animal? And why can't we then go out and try to help the mice and all the other animals and try to say, hey, come like Dr. Doolittle, come around me and I'll show you love for the first time and then you can progress and get to where I am because I'm a superior human being ready to graduate. And most of the animals and plants and trees looking around at most human beings like these idiots think they're the top. Look at look, you can see the 405 freeway down there that runs up through Brentwood where OJ did is they're sitting on that freeway beeping at each other. They think they're the top. These idiots. The Ponderosa Pines are saying to each other in California, at least if you go farther north. I don't know if they have them in LA, but probably not. But so no, the general sense is, are they here to help us? We need help. You think we're the top of the food chain? I can just, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but I know how the old guard here thinks and would say, we've been meant to believe every chart presented to us in science class or in a certain class in high school or college shows the human being on top and the animals underneath, and it's upside down land, it's backwards land. So that's the opposite. It's possible we're the lowest here. Well, Matt, it's possible just because I'm applying the upside down rule that's here. What if everything is backwards here? So I'm not going to put all my chips there either, but it's possible. Simple as math, the mayfly and some certain types of tsetse flies or whatever, they live 24 hours. That's a screwed existence. Time is relative to that thing that flies around. Do you fly around? It flies around. The time to that thing, its time is completely relative. That's what that I almost called Einstein. I was just about to do it. Adolf H. I would say that's what Adolf H showed us with the relativity. Why would I be? What is that a Freudian slip? I almost called Einstein Adolf H. That's what Einstein to me the absolute puppet of this. He might have been a brilliant scientist, but mostly a puppet of you know, just leaking out a little bit of the ancient knowledge the creeps carry, leaking out knowledge in a certain sense so people believe certain things about the entire realm that hides them from themselves. It's the same playbook over and over and over and over again. That's all. Ultimately, that's every single play. If you, it's like playing a football team, and every single play is a run up the middle. And by the third quarter, like, are they going to run up the middle again? And you just, it's that's all they do. But it doesn't look like a run up the middle. It looks like all these different trick plays and all this stuff and flea flickers and Statue of Liberty play and a throwback to the quarterback. It looks like all this stuff, but all really, if you look see through it, it's just a run up the middle. And the intent is just to distract a human being from its true nature. It's the whole reality is the trick of the whole reality is one sentence. Um, every bit of it is just a distraction. I was forgot to mention what I've talked about comments from Steffers. Steffers writes for peaceofmindful.com. And she sent me an email. Travis Scott. What does it sound like? Tavis Tavistock. Either whether it is or not, that's the best way to think of it. Um, and could there have been real tragedy in what they orchestrated? And sure, sure. I don't think that matters anymore. In fact, even what I'm doing here doesn't matter anymore. Here's a hard fast rule, guys, and I don't know if Circus's channel really understands this or not. I struggle with this, but I think he does. But I don't think his audience isn't quite ready for this level, so I don't think he goes there. That's what I think. But here's the general rule that will probably never be broken for the rest of our lives. If there's some major league present, just some story that's on the news, and it's a gigantic news story, and all the different elements of sheriff's department, government, all these people are involved, and the news is reporting on it, and social media is going crazy with it. And then there's the conspiracy that comes out the side of it, like the open mouth of the Travis Scott videos, and he had his big face, and it's an open mouth everybody walked through, which is similar to one of the famous artistic depictions of hell from 400 years ago. Whenever, and then the conspiracy comes. If you just have a few of those elements, then you don't have to look at it ever. It is 100% a system presentation where they put different things into position to get the outcome that they want. Nothing happened naturally, nothing happened organically. Well, Matt, did anybody do? I don't know. It certainly looks like it, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. We have to get to the bottom of it. I'm going to go spend 20 years interviewing everybody that was there to see, do you think that person really passed? It doesn't matter. I mean, if somebody was caught up in that as an innocent, that is horrible. Okay, that is horrible. We don't know. Many of these presentations that nobody does. Okay, I don't know in this case, and from us, there's no point in spending time on it. As soon as you sniff it out in the first 50 seconds as a system presentation, let me give you an example. The people that were seen just getting into the concert that didn't pay, like bum rushing the west entrance or whatever. There's nothing natural about that. I don't have to tell you guys. I don't, everybody here. It was meant to happen. It was they. I'm not. They're not all catastrophe thespians. The people running across the no, they're not all paid and in on it. The system simply created a situation. They got a couple people in the middle of the crowd and says, thousands of people can't get tickets. We can get in here. Let's just go, man. And they got people to do it. They got people to go along with it. I mean, they know how to push the buttons on people. They don't need everybody signing themselves over as a paid catastrophe thespian. So it's just I mean, we can see this stuff, and we don't have to look at it for more than a minute anymore. And but maybe they're at the point where they do when they're organizing this stuff and putting all the pieces in place. Just like 2001, a 7/11 Odyssey, where they're you know they pull stuff and people die. People absolutely, that doesn't mean it's all. it's all, the big F word where nothing happened. I don't think the creep system here is, I don't think they're overly concerned with protecting human life. Do you? But a lot of these events have been completely effed, caked, bake a caked. But um, but maybe this one, and several of them aren't. But it doesn't matter. It's still the same production. And what's the goal of it? How did you? It's kind of sick to be talking about this and pets in the same video, but I have gone long enough without mentioning anything about it. Um, the goal of it, that it's all this. Remember, it's all the same sentence: to distract, to keep a human being from understanding its true nature and being able to, you know, break free of this place, whether it's a whatever. We'll talk about it some other time. Okay, it probably does deserve a video like this event. It just looks like the presentation from Florida, and it just looks like it. They all have the same scripted playbook, and I mean, overall, yeah, that's the goal of this whole reality system. But what's the specific goal of these types of things, going all the way back to the movie with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman, going all the way back to Hook? What's the purpose? First level truthers, gun control. No, that's not it. That they'd like to use it to do that. Of course, they're not. It's not like they're not going to use it for that. They'll use, but that's not their primary reason for it. That's first grade. So screen exercise. We'll ponder that some other time. I mean, but it's so funny now how, I mean, most of us we come upon these news stories, and after what? Literally 30 seconds? 30 seconds, you can be like, well, that's a system presentation, no matter what really happened or what really did not happen, and just see right through it. And if I said that to most of all of my relatives, they would think I'm absolutely out of my mind, which they probably already do. So pets, guys. Um, in addition, I'm just saying, you know it, you can feel it. Your inner knowing tells you that. Your inner tuning fork. I guess I never completed about the normie walking their dogs through Pam's neighborhood. Um, they're not spiritually evolved. Even they have a lot of work to do. And I don't want to use the word NPC anymore, but they believe every bit about everything that comes on the news. They're not in any position to help an animal. Yeah, the animal, hopefully, what's more likely that the animal is there to help them. Why do all these people have animals? I mean, they're everywhere, and the people have so many dogs and so many cats, and to me, they have these animals for reasons they don't even understand fully. Like the when I went to get Belle, I didn't understand what that was all about, as I understand it now. The animal is helping the human. Is there any doubt about that? And if anybody would say, well, Matt, why does a feral act differently or this animal act differently? Well, I can't say that I saw a feral tortie once that looked very much like Belle. It was at a lumber yard. Your heart goes out. You want to get all these animals. It's just you can't save them all. You can only take care of the ones that you have the best you can. And it breaks your heart. You see these animals like lumber yards, and this wasn't, it actually wasn't a lumber yard where I saw Belle's twin. It was like a paver place, cinder blocks, pavers. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Outdoor, an acre of just stuff. It lives inside the piles with all these other cats, and um, maybe whatever like a Native American might say a spirit guide, or a certain group of people would say like a familiar or whatever it may be. Maybe that tortie that I saw in the lumber yard or the cinder block yard, that's the same body that Belle would have, essentially the same avatar, but it's not the same spirit. But it might have a soul of some kind animated locally by this Earth system, but it's not. Maybe those that get close to humans, that is sent there on purpose. That's a by design role that animal is playing. So I don't know how to say it, a different spirit inside Belle, for example, or inside Puss Puss here, for example. It doesn't. Puss in Boots are the names of the cats. I know that sounds kind of funny. Um, so it doesn't mean why would it have to be the same just because it looks the same, just because it's in the same torty body. It doesn't have to be the same spiritually. Just like we say, are you potentially the same spiritually? I don't want to pick on the normal person anymore. I don't want to doom these people, but I will pick on the creeps. Um, are you the same as Melvin P? No, no. Well, Matt, you could be dooming him. Why would I care about that? He's his role here is to screw all of us as much as possible. I don't, and smart people would say he picked that. I mean, he or the nature of him picked that role to be the king fish here, to be to be that type of incarnation, to dominate here, to potentially carry forward um, past knowledge or past life memory or understand certain understandings that we come in here as Tommy, deaf, dumb, and blind kid. I'm sorry. Somebody that's playing a role just to screw all of us. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go out of my way to try to assist that person. Although the only thing in their favor that we will acknowledge, many of us will acknowledge, is the creeps are necessary. They play a necessary role here, so we can basically look as what not to do, how not to act, how not to be, and use the activities and the behaviors of the creeps to actually assist ourselves in our own spiritual journey here, which we've done tremendously. Where would we be without 2001: A 7/11 Odyssey? Well, you know, did we want it to happen? No, but we've absolutely benefited from it. I mean, spiritually, where it matters, we've benefited from it. From this thing, we've benefited from it where it matters, because the proof of that is nobody would go back in terms of all we've learned. Nobody would say, good, would go back. You have to lose everything you've learned, have a mini mind wipe, go back to 2019, and the life you knew there would just go on. Nobody would go back. So that by default, by definition, means we've it's actually benefited us, the situation that's going on now, where it matters. Hasn't benefited us in terms of what's local here to the Earth system, body, avatar, bank account, the way we live our lives, the way we interact with friends, all that, just all that superficial stuff that's here. We haven't benefited, but where it's important, like a spiritual sense of leaving this place behind, or of dropping all attachments, seeing through everything, seeing how trivial this this train stop is in the greater scheme of things, then we've benefited. So, guys, if I'm going to talk about Tra- Travis Scott, I said at least I should watch a music video of what is this? What is this music? What is this? What did I find? I'd never seen any bit of it before, never heard any bit of it before. This is all falling apart. Never was not Travis Scott highest in the room official music video. I mean, where this rap is as bad as it was 10 years ago. It doesn't evolve. There is no talent. I did a do what you were here, and then I came over the year, and then we went rid of there, and then we would a year. What? That's all it is. What? Make me the. I'll rap. Pay me 100 million. Actually, I wouldn't get under that dragon's wing, but you know what I mean. And then we looking in the truth, and then we find in a photo booth. uh, I mean, it's a joke. Who could anybody could do that? I just was like, well, where's the damn talent? I mean, we could just let's make up a rap in 5 seconds. And then we looked at Dallas, and then they presented lots of malice. I mean, what the heck? What an absolute joke that the masses think. Here, your little kid thinks this is the height of music. Here, I'm not. The Beatles were puppets. You know, most of what Mike presents about the Beatles, I agree with 100% of just absolute puppets. But here's the Sgt. Pepper's album, the Lucy and the Sky with Diamonds, and the She's Leaving Home, and check this out compared to, and then we did it. I mean, you've got to be kidding me. This I didn't know about it. I'm glad I didn't know about it. but it's the same rap that hasn't changed for 10 years, and somehow Travis Scott has got a lot of talent and this guy over here doesn't, but there'd be no difference. You could walk into anybody's room in any dorm room anywhere in the world, and that person would be able to rap as well as Travis Scott. So where's the talent? Anyway, sorry to stray, guys, but that was too friggin' funny. I had to close on that. Pets, what does your heart tell you? What does your inner knowing tell you? That you're here to help it, needs your help. It's millions of years devolved, or whatever that thing is spiritually. It's here to help us and learn. Even Bootsy, that doesn't give the same. She's more selfish. She pees around my house. There's something to learn from that. What can I? What is this thing teaching me? And that's what they give us, and no doubt about it, that's what pets give us. Thanks, guys.